the key points of this is that disc replacement, we're now having longer term trials that are showing two things, and I think they're very important. They're the whole reason disc replacement was brought to market. Number one, we're having less operations on the surgery of disc replacement compared to the fusion. And number two is we're finally been able to show that disc replacement does protect the adjacent levels in the long run. The main takeaway, however, is that the vast majority of these studies are industry sponsored. So there's a big, I would say, caution from the spine surgery community that maybe these differences are not as large as these studies show. Maybe they don't protect the adjacent segment as much, and maybe the complication of the fusion surgery are not as high as these studies say they are. So we have to be very careful on how we read these studies and any potential biases that could happen. I believe that disc replacement is an excellent surgery, just like the fusion surgery is. The key component is the correct indication for the patient. It's patient selection. So basically, and not just my talk, but the whole panel conclusion is that disc replacement is a wonderful surgery that possibly does have less reoperation rate and protects the adjacent segment, as long as it's indicated on the right patient. So that means you can't have deformity, you cannot have instability, you cannot have more than 50% of the disc degenerated, you cannot have facet arthropathy. Usually younger patients, that's where you're going to find those criteria. So that's when the disc replacement is well indicated, 1 or 2 levels as well, and that's when it's good. Anything that's more degenerated than that, you're probably better served with a fusion of the segment. Both for radiculopathy or myelopathy, they're both adequate, can be adequately treated with disc replacement. And of course, the fusion, we all know it treats it very well. The disc replacement is kind of where we're trying to find where is appropriate to indicate. In radiculopathy, as a general rule, you have less compression of the central canal, you have a lesser degree of a pathology. When you start talking about myelopathy, you already have a more severe disease. Usually it's more levels, usually the facets are more compromised and the disc components are harder, it's more calcified, it's an older person. And that's when you don't want to do the disc replacement, especially if you have deformity, if you have instability and so forth. If you have a case for myelopathy that is just a soft disc that the person was very unlucky in having myelopathic central cord symptoms due to that soft disc herniation with not much degeneration, no instability, no deformity, those cases do wonderful with a disc replacement. But again, those are extremely rare cases. Very interesting, when the panel was of myself and other 3 surgeons were asked in the end, is disc replacement the gold standard for cervical surgery at this point? And what is our percentage? When do we fuse people? When do we put disc replacement? All 4 of us, it was over 95% would still fuse the patients. So that just shows that even though it's a growing market, the disc replacement, everybody in the panel was very cautious when indicating it and when doing it.